My name's Louise Triance from UK Recruiter. I've also had the pleasure of doing the speaker programme over these last 2 days. 30-minute interview with Ricky. I'm going to get Ricky to introduce himself. I've got some questions I want to ask him, but actually I'd love some from the audience. So when we come to that section, whip your hand up. Milo will be coming around with the mic. Ricky, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course. Well, firstly, apologise that you didn't hear Livin' La Vida Loca when I came down to the stage. Apologies if you're expecting a Latino pop star, if you're old enough to remember who that is. And the benefits of pre-pandemic and pre-youth does make you look a lot younger than you do in real life. So, hi everyone, I'm Ricky Martin. I'm a biochemist by academics. I'm a member of the Royal Society of Chemistry. Almost 20 years in recruitment now. And I am the founder and managing director of a life science agency called Hyper Recruitment Solutions, HRS, which just had its 10th anniversary last year. So looking forward to some conversation today.
Fabulous. And we are going to be covering how to build a world-class recruitment business. And my first question actually is about anybody who's an aspiring entrepreneur looking to start their own business. And you know, it doesn't have to just be recruitment. There's quite a few people interested in recruitment tech in this room. What would be your sort of broad advice?
I actually get asked this question quite a lot, and if I'm absolutely, and I'll be quite candid with my response for everyone, I think if you don't have a real passion for what you want to do, like don't get me wrong, when businesses work and it makes good profit and you can have a great lifestyle, that's really attractive, but that takes a lot of determination and grit and gut and sacrifice to get to. So for me, anyone who is either just started, thinking of starting, or even that entrepreneurship, starting something within an organization, if you don't care about what you're going to do, you will not give it your all to make it a success. So a lot of people have ideas like, I want to run a company. Well, what does it look like? I don't know yet. I just want to run a company. Like, the fantasy of running a company, if you don't really care about it, is horrific. So best advice I can give, choose something that intimately you really have an interest in, and you feel over a period of time, if you're not already, you can become an expert within, because too many people love that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to, unless I'm asked questions, I'm not going to talk about, I'm not even going to use the words, but TV shows sometimes glamorize the ability of having businesses, but they forget how hard it really is to run it. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, and if I'm honest, I don't even like the word, because I probably couldn't spell it if I was trying to spell it, despite I'm a biochemist. I'd do my best, but probably a lot of us would get it wrong. You have to really care about what you want, and you have to be committed to making it work, because it's so hard, so hard, no matter what money you've got, what people are around you, unless you all are pulling in that direction. I think the chance of success is slim, so care, really care.
So I'm now going to ask a question which is going to mention those words, The Apprentice. So we won't talk about it in tons of detail, but what was your experience like on The Apprentice, and how has it prepared you for the career after that?
Well, my experience is different to being a viewer. So I am an avid fan of the show again now. So I'm watching it, and I do sit at home saying, oh my God, are these the people that I'm being compared to as someone who's on the show once back in the... I go through all of those motions, but being on it is very, very different. And I always say to a lot of people, they need to remember what the show is called. It's called The Apprentice. And any apprentice in any industry is a raw ingredient that is prepared to learn, prepared to take on experiences and develop. So whether you are the old school 16-year-old not going to wherever and going to apprenticeship, or these days apprenticeships for everyone, it is a show which is about giving people skills and experience. So how did it set me up? Well, I'd studied biochemistry and I'd been in recruitment for nearly a decade pre-business. So what did I know before? I knew recruitment for a business. I knew a bit about science by studying. And I loved my sports outside of it, because I used to be a wrestler, so I like wrestling, but I didn't decide to do a wrestling recruitment company. I decided to, which wouldn't work, by the way, even though I'm really interested in it and I love it, and it's too dangerous and I'm too old now. But it taught me that, do you know, each week of the show, if you can take the showbiz element and the TV element, each week's a different business. So the words that I kept using, it's like doing an MBA, where somebody is setting up different businesses every week for 12 weeks that you can test yourself in. And I think recruiters have some of the best skills in the world because we learn how to market ourselves and the businesses we support. We learn how to sell, negotiate, deliver exceptional service, hold yourself against some world-class basics of performance indicators. We learn all of these skills as recruiters. We're so agile, so I think they're ideal to go on The Apprentice, those types of candidates, but not 1 week did I get the opportunity to read a CV, and not 1 week did I get the opportunity to try and present it. I was representing English sparkling wine. I don't even drink wine. I still don't drink it now. I feel like one day I'll grow up and like wine. But it was 12 weeks, other than the interviews, of different tasks. So I saw it as an apprenticeship, as a real-life learning experience. So, and probably more than anything, for someone who hadn't set up a business pre-show, it kind of gave me that, look, if you want to do it, just bloody go and do it. And up until that point, I had every reason not to. I'm getting married in 2012, ironically the year I was on the show, so my money's in the wedding, I'm buying my house. Like, I had every reason not to do it, and what it taught me is, every week if you want something, you can just do it, and there's only so much planning you can do. Sometimes you need to get out of, the sales books and the podcast. You just need to go and bloody do it. And it kind of gave me that attitude, and when I'd got it wrong, I had someone who would be completely there'd be no mercy. You'd be completely slapped around the face for doing it wrong. And it was actually a really good education of what it will be like setting up a business for me. So I thought it was a great grounding, a great ground, despite you only saw an hour of the funny stuff, right? You didn't see the 399 hours of actually trying to get something working and working with people. You saw an hour of stabbing each other in the back and having some one-liners from Lord Sugar.
Did you make any friends while you were on it?
Well, 2 of them play football with me every week still to today, so yes. One of them did my branding when I set up the company, might do rebranding we do at one point. So short answer is probably the opposite. I didn't make an enemy. That's probably what I'd see. And that's where I think recruiters are brilliant. The skill in recruitment is with people and finding the best out of situations, whether someone's old, young, senior, junior. I think recruiters have a real people art. And I think going on that, I got to meet architects, a guy did greengrocers, like we're great, we barely see each other, but we're best mates. Those that wanted to get their businesses going further or set up a business, I'm really close with now. And those that wanted to go on a TV show because they thought all of a sudden they'd be famous, I'm probably less friends with now, but don't have an issue with. So I made some good people and they've helped my business. None of them are recruiters, but some of them have really, I've been very lucky to build like a network of people, and that's life, right? That's everything we do. Pre-investment, working for businesses, running business, it's all a networking. This event is a networking opportunity.
So tell us about your business now. What are you doing now?
So we only work with life sciences. So I'm a believer that amazing recruiters can turn their hand to different things. But speaking frankly, I studied biochemistry because I really like the idea of trying to help people scientifically, like find that next cure for whatever disease area is there. I was just completely crap at the science, like really bad at it, and didn't have the patience and the threshold levels. And when you grow E. coli for 12 hours a day in your university, it's soul destroying, well, for me anyway. But the principle of science I always thought was really interesting. So as an organization, we only work with, when I say STEM, it's more the science and tech side of STEM. So if a business is trying to get a medicine to help a patient, that's where we want to work with it. And the last few years has been fascinating with the world of vaccines. Like, never has life science been put at the forefront of everyone's mind, scientists and non-scientists, in the last few years. Which is why everyone wants to now do life science recruitment, right? So I've got a load of competitors probably in this room as a result, but it's a fabulous space that saves and changes lives, and it's what we do. And there's about 50 of us in the business, so we're not huge. And being honest, I don't want to be hundreds and hundreds of people where we become another transactional, commoditized recruitment, and that's nothing wrong with big business. It's just not what I plan to do, because my background's STEM, it's what I care about. So that's who we are. I call us a business of life changers, because we get medicines to patients, we save and change lives, and that's what my recruiters are here to help me do.
So I wanted to ask you about a competitive market, and you've actually nicely set that up. So for some recruiters here, they are in a very competitive space. So how do you deal with that competition? How do you set yourself apart?
I guess there's lots of ways, and we always need to keep learning new ways of doing it. Like, I still am an apprentice at heart, trying to learn new things, but I think firstly, when there is competition, it's a really good thing. It tells you firstly there's a market, so you've got to embrace it, embrace this competition. It tells you that you need to be sharp and you need to keep evolving. I think the most important thing is always respect your competition. I learned this many years ago when I studied at university. Some people might remember MFI. Some people call it Made for Idiots back in the day. It wasn't their acronym, but it was a company that helps you change your kitchen in your bedroom and your bathroom. I was a salesperson to support uni. And I was always taught then the worst thing you can do is slag off your competition. You can say, oh, B&Q's kitchens aren't as good, or Howden's, they might be bespoke, but they're not really, they're off the shelf. I think it happens with every business, but particularly recruitment. You need to put your competition on a pedestal. And then you need to learn to be better than them, because if you are competing and beating competition who are up here, you just elevate your own status. So for me, crowded marketplaces, if you have a proposition that's unique, and recruitment is recruitment fundamentally. I can't sit here saying I've developed a tech or developed a methodology that's so groundbreaking that we are just unique. We're not. We're helping people find great jobs in an industry. For me, it's about being more purpose-led. So I think when you're in a competitive marketplace, it's a workforce that believe in your ethos, that believe in what you're doing and will work with you, because competition means someone else will hire your staff. Competition means that they'll pay more money for your staff. Competition means that they'll undercut you at any rate with your clients. So when it comes to that, I guess my two principles is respect your competition and don't slag them off, because you know what? You're in business because there's a marketplace and you need to, there's always room for more. I sit on a few boards, one with the REC, which is a whole bunch of life science recruitment owners. It's not a hostile environment. It's a really positive environment where we're looking at, there's space for all of us. How do we make a difference? So respect your competition and lead your business through really a value and purpose-led organizations which help you stand out in a market crowd, and try and help everybody else to develop your methodology and be part of it. And one day they might not want to be part of that methodology, and it's about being honest about that if that point does come.
So as you've grown and those values have been important to your business, has it been more difficult to embed them or easier?
At the beginning, it's really easy, right? It's hard to get your business going, but it's really easy to build your methodology, because when you're a founder, you have a couple of people starting with you, and you can all, I keep using the term osmosis, the scientist in me, which is almost learning through others. And I think we're kind of in that environment, and again, with how the world's changed the last few years, people need to learn for other people, and we've got to be around people to do that. But at the beginning, it was much easier. You would talk about what you stood for. And at the beginning, when you're a startup, you're a high-risk business for someone to join, and you're not going to be able to give them amazing salaries. You can give them a drive and an infectious place to want to be. And so at the beginning, it's easier. And as we've grown, it has become a lot harder, because I still want to know intimately all of the people that work for me. I want to know family, kids, pets, all of these different things. Really, but it's really hard to do that. So you start becoming more reliant on other people in your business that either started with your journey and can replicate, or to get to the next level, we've been an organic growth, but you have to rely on outside support. So trying to find behaviors is, I mean, I get approached by RecExpo all the time. Here's a 500K biller. Like, if I'm honest, I couldn't give a crap what they build, because if they haven't done it with my client base, in my marketplace, with my processes, my ethos, my CRM, my technologies, they could bill £1, they could bill £1 million, I just don't know. So behavioral-led hiring starts becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and I've had to go from being that, my gut says they're right, I can have a beer with them. Not that I drink beer, I like a lychee martini, just to put that on the table. There's a little fact about me, but you've had to become more structured in bringing in those people to look at those that want to be part of the value, because people have options. So it has become harder, and I think the purpose and the values can get diluted through the organization, but it's trying to make sure that you continually invent them. But we've had to, on a number of occasions, re-establish our values, because I know what I care for, but I'm just one person in a business, right? 1 out of 50 makes me, 2% of my business. At the beginning, I was 100%. So we are constantly re-evaluating the values and finding opportunities to reward the value in what we do, not just reward the placement. And don't get me wrong, it's recruitment, right? I'm not sitting here saying I don't pay my people commission. Of course I do. There wouldn't be loads of people that would want to come work with us if we didn't. But finding ways to recognize the values, to be celebrating the values, and probably the opposite when you see the detractor values in your business, try and make quicker decisions on either understanding it and changing it and bringing it on board, or removing it from the environment you're in. And I think slow to react sometimes has been detrimental to the value.
So rewarding staff in recruitment, a very, very commission-led industry. Have you found some more innovative ways to reward salespeople?
Honest answer is not really. I've read and seen every conversation about you. I remember at the start, they're like, oh, if you pay someone 25K salary and you give them a 25K reward, they earn 50K. Actually, in the world we live in, if you gave someone 35K salary but no reward, kind of a certain generation would be more attractive to that for stability. And actually, if you then start focusing more on recognition and peer-to-peer recognition, I remember hearing something which is people like all day long outside of work on socials. When they come into work, their boss no longer likes them. They just pay them for billing. And I considered adopting an approach which was half and half or more on that side. The answer is no, I haven't found that way. I think talking about the values, living the values, showing the values, recognizing the values, and putting people on pedestal for showing them and demonstrating them almost as much as just being a biller has been really useful. And I think having enough measures in your business where you're looking at outcomes as well as incomes as well as behaviors is important, not just looking at the big biller. And I think Greg used a term earlier, which I didn't heard the acronym. He used the NDP, which I think is the no dickheads policy. The New Zealand All Blacks, that's what they are, it's a no dickheads. Trying to eliminate your dickheads, and sometimes the dickheads are the billers that don't lead part of your company, is very difficult as an SME business to say remove them. But every time we've seen that, you've seen more people rise, and you've spread the billing across a bigger group of people that lead your values and share your values. So haven't found a way to do that, but what I can say is my approach now when we're interviewing, I don't sit down and talk to people about what you build. Let me show you our glossy document that shows you where you're going to have a holiday, and let me show you this where we've got a running track. I mean, all of that stuff is so pre-pandemic in terms of great office, great reward. Like every recruitment company worth their salt will try and do those things. So you need to compete in a different level than just your reward. Recognition's bigger than reward these days, is my opinion, and values links to recognition probably more so than reward.
So I've got another 4 or 5 questions, but if people want to start asking questions, I'm going to get Milo to get the mic for after this one. How important do you think the technology you have in your own business is in terms of attracting people to work within it?
It's a difficult question because there are, I mean, the event shows it, there's some amazing technology options out there. And some of them are completely revolutionary from a technical standpoint, but it's the adoption standpoint of how you get your organization to use it, how that it complements the processes that are there and how it can evolve those processes. And to a small extent, if you are, and it was brought up a few times today, KPIs are really important to salespeople. We like to know when we've had a good or a crap day, and it's more than just the billings. It's getting them right that work and finding the way that tech works with it. So we've found on occasions where we've spoke to people and we're like, we've got this, we've got this, they're like, oh, you know, I've really wanted to use, I won't name them out of whether it's positive or negative, we really want to use this technology that's attractive. I don't think having a single bit of tech is necessarily encouraged a recruiter to come to me. The question that does get asked again and again is, will I get a LinkedIn recruiter? Like that gets asked quite a lot. Am I going to get a LinkedIn recruiter? I'm like, why, can you not recruit without it? Like, because speaking honestly, yes, we will give LinkedIn, we have them, but not everyone's going to have one, like necessarily. Like, I need to see that people can do some traditional elements of recruitment as well as the more modern side of technology. And our art is trying to blend the two things together, right? Tech and automation and sophistication in process as well with the people side of what we do, and piece the two together because they complement. But it's the adoption of the technology, and to an extent, try not to do too many things at once. I can be a magpie. Oh, that looks brilliant. Let's try that. That's been brilliant. Let's try that. And we've tried things that have worked really well, and I'm really grateful, and some things that haven't worked well. And I think it's trying to be realistic. When I started the business, I didn't come up with this big tech stack. I came up with the values, the principles, the purpose of what was important to me, and some of the standards of what I'd expect in a role that I would negotiate or non-negotiate with. And the tech stack's definitely been a pressing point as the years have gone on, and COVID's probably pushed that more to the forefront. And I think we have to adopt technology, but I don't think we have to adopt every piece of technology. And I think it could be really daunting when you step out saying, what do I need to post jobs, process candidates, automate chats, automate content, run a search, all of these different, it's really bloody daunting. And every owner can tell you the ones that work really well. But I can tell you what works for us now when we turn over X amount and make Y amount of profit. But when I went back in the time, actually all those things are really, really expensive. And what you needed to do is a value set and a people set. And that's where I've always came to something like this, like not as a plug for the event, but as a reality check. It helps me check in with my suppliers in an efficient way of time, see what new technologies they have and other suppliers have. So tech is important, but it's not the be all and end all. Bringing the two together. People and tech are important, not just tech, not just people. And it's really hard to figure out what will work. But understand something intimately, understand how it rolls out, speak to people who use the technology to get a reference for how it works for them positively and negatively. And I think most tech companies will tell you the limitations in what they do. And if they don't, you need to be asking yourself why they don't. So I think most good tech companies will tell you the limitations and their roadmaps, what they're going to roll out, what's going to be put in place. Thing that's important to me is traceability. Like the integrity of all of our businesses, of course, with our people and what they do, but also the system and the data that we have. That data is absolutely crucial to how our business operates, how people access it, how your business gets valued. And if the tech can complement your processes and your data, then it can work. But if all of a sudden it's another third piece of software here and you end up with CRM, LinkedIn, this one, that one, that one, you've got these 10 places, what on earth do you expect your recruiters to spend their time on? It's so hard. So I think keep it simple to start with. Keep it simple, what's important, what you know works, and what you get recommended to you. And have an eye on the future of what tech will help to move your processes forward. Don't do it all at once.
Do we have any questions at this point? If anybody wants to pop their hand up. Yeah, we've got one over here, Milo.
Thank you. Hi. So I run a recruitment business. The business as it is now is 6 years old. I bought it in a management buyout, so the brand is 25 years old, if not more. If I had £250,000 given to me now, how would you recommend that I spend it to grow my business?
What a question. And without knowing your business, obviously it's almost impossible, but I guess you need to do an analysis on the organisation, do some type of SWOT analysis on your business to understand that organisation, understand what processes are working or maybe aren't working. You can waste that money very, very quickly. £250,000 for a mature business isn't a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, particularly with technology. Over 3 years of being signed up to a contract, it will whittle out really quickly through license fees. So I think for me, I'd be trying to understand, and MBOs change your organisation as well, right? It's a different business to what it would have been 25 years ago. So
yeah, definitely.
What does that business look like today? What's the heart of the business? What's the heart of the people? And what's the ambition of the managers who want to take it forward? I think the gaps in what's working or what you don't have to get you there will probably give you the answer. But it's very hard to say. Like, I don't know if you use CRM. I mean, the amount of recruitment companies that don't even use their bloody CRM, it's just a deal system, shocks me. Have to get that working, because when people come and go, that still remains. So for me, it's what doesn't work, can you change it or do you need to replace it with something? Is your business doing the proposition that when you do the MBO, are you doing what you set out to do? And if it's not, how do you get there? Really, it's get that management team together, look through the gaps, look at where you're really good and where you're not so good and where you want to be. And I think the 250,000 will be spent quite quickly into what's going to help you to get there.
Thank you.
It takes time though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I had a Facebook memory that came up, and it said, I'm watching this series of The Apprentice, and I can tell you one thing, that Ricky Martin will be out by week 3.
Yeah. This is the world of TV that I've had to learn the hard way. Week 1, week 2, 99. I'd never been on Twitter, and we weren't allowed on it back then. Can't talk about the show because we can't control what you're saying. 99% of people would just say, what an absolute see you next Tuesday I was.
I know, it wasn't because of that, it was just because you're a recruiter.
As a recruiter, but I wasn't marketed as a recruiter, I was a wrestler as well at the time. Not anymore, but I was a wrestler and I was offered a contract to audition for the WWE at the same time as The Apprentice. So I was marketed as this wrestler that did a bit of recruitment, whereas actually wrestling was on the side. So I wasn't marketed as the real me. Like, no one knew I was a biochemist probably through the whole show, whereas that's actually the heart of me. I've got a methodical mind that really likes to understand how things work and how they can change, whereas how I was marketed versus who I am is very different. But I would have hated me at the beginning, and at the end of it, 99% of people knew you're going to win. Oh, well, this is like... Or even better, you speak to people, I voted for you. No, I wasn't on X Factor. I voted for you, Ricky. Thanks for your vote, but you couldn't vote. So shows you how interesting the world of TV can be versus a real person behind it. But that was, for me, an investment model. Just like, it was purely, I wanted the 250K. That was it. And I always believed that this business would still be where it is now without it. It had just taken me a lot longer to get there. And I'd have given as much heart as I did pre or post that.
Thanks.
But no, you were right.
Any other questions? One over here, Milo. Don't know how you're going to get in there.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Sydney Samuels. I'm the founder of a company called Loop Not Luck, and we're a diverse talent acquisition platform. So we help candidates from diverse and underrepresented backgrounds get junior career opportunities at different companies. I've actually just written my question down on my notes so that I stay a bit more succinct. So what are your clients saying about DEI? Is it important to them? And if so, what are you doing as a recruiter to help fulfill that requirement to provide diverse candidate kind of shortlists?
So I think it was two questions, just checking the sound. Firstly, what are our clients saying about ED&I?
Yeah.
And secondly, what are we doing as recruiters and recruitment company, right? It's the two parts.
Perfect, yeah.
Perfect. Firstly, mixed bag of clients. You've got some where it's everything that they really want to drive it. So if I give you an example, AstraZeneca are one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. Our model when we started was to work more with SME businesses so we could actually have a partnership relationship rather than a transactional portal-led relationship. AstraZeneca have gone for a big program the last few years where they recognise that they are really out of sync of where they'd like to be in almost every element of ED&I, whatever kind of demographic or that you're looking for, they're out of sync. So they went on a campaign to bring in recruitment companies that could support them with this. So whether it was that they were set up to be an ED&I supplier, or whether when they did their due diligence, the business was made up of a broader demographic of workforce, age, race, gender, all these different elements. So I'm finding the bigger organisations, I don't know yet whether it's more of a political campaign for them to say we're more ED&I focused. So they've signed up us recruitment companies, some of us who might be able to help that, and we got signed up as a supplier to them purely on that. They have a 5-year supply purely on that basis when they looked at the workforce, the demographic. I think as recruitment companies, we need to realise that it is really important to what we're doing. If you look at the marketplace, that I support STEM. STEM has an incredible amount of females that can come into STEM at the front end, more on the science than necessarily the engineering side. But when you go through the ranks of the organisations, the depletion of females in those organisations drop off quite quickly for a whole host of different reasons. So as an organisation, if we're not making sure that we're aware of that and we're trying to support that, then we will get left behind because ED&I isn't something, just to be clear, that is going to go away. I think some people are burying their heads thinking it's just popped up because it's important. It is the be-all and end-all, and when you look at any marketplace, it's full of people from every background, and if you as a business can't support that, it's very hard. I myself have sat down, look at the board. It's me and Lord Sugar. We're not exactly, they're probably the poster child for being the most ED&I workforce when you look at the boards, but at the same time, we're a small to medium-sized recruitment company. So I think what all of us need to do is understand what we are and make positive steps to make sure that can change. What we can't do is hire people to tick a box in our business, and I see that happening a lot in recruitment. I need to hire a female for this, I need to hire a black person. I hear that all day long, and I'm like, you can't do that because that's not going to help. What you need to do is recognise what you're not, what you could be, what your marketplace looks like, and you need to have an organic plan to move there. So are you giving as many opportunities internally for women as men as men? When you look at people on promotion objectives, what does that look like across your organisation? Where's your business based? What's the demographic locally to your business? What are you likely to hire based on that demographic versus if you're just going anywhere from across the country? So I think client-wise, in my space, it's a mixed bag. I think some really cool early-stage start companies that make it a key principle and a value from the beginning. Big businesses are doing it because politically and economically they feel like they need to, and I don't know, honestly, whether it's them doing it for the right or wrong reasons. So as organisations, I think we need to understand what we are and how that can evolve organically over time. Don't just hire what we are or what we think has always worked over the years. Hire the right person and be conscious of that workforce, because we hire a lot of people first into recruitment in our business and put them through our academies. The questions we get asked most, about 3 questions, it's going to be, how does ED&I look in your business and how are you supporting this? What's your mental health policy? How are you supporting people from mental health? And the third one is, how many days do I get to work from home? They're the 3 questions we get asked most by our first in recruitment people. And I can answer the question on the last one quite easily. It's like, none. To work from home to begin with, because I want you to learn the value of what we do. I want you to learn our job. And as that evolves, of course, there's more agility that will open up for skill, experience and will. But put yourself in anyone who's gone through, I don't know if you're hiring graduates, anyone that's gone through a degree. Well, you've got your degree from home. Why can't you succeed in a job from home? So they're the 3 things that are getting asked every day. And if we're not prepared to have answers to all of those 3, ED&I, mental health, and WFH work from home, you're going to struggle to attract particularly entry-level candidates to what we do. And you're going to struggle to position yourself with some people who are sick of the business they work for, and they want that organisation who cares more about those things. So we have to understand that has to be a key important of our role. And if I'm honest, I don't think there's one business I've spoke to that is absolutely getting it right. I think we need to be realistic with what we are and what we can be and make organic, positive steps to move it forward, not try and solve it overnight. Those that are solving it overnight are ticking boxes. So I hope I've tried to help to answer your 2 questions.
Yeah, you definitely have. Thank you.
I am so sorry, but we are totally at time, and seeing as it's me who has to kick people off the stage, I might have to boot us off. Thank you so much, Ricky.
No worries. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming along.